Mr. Schiff, if I want a money that is portable, why should I like gold as opposed to Bitcoin? Portability.
Well, first of all, Bitcoin is money. I mean, gold is money and Bitcoin's not. So, you've already sacrificed money. So you can either have real money that's portable or you can have Bitcoin that's also portable. But the reason that you should have real money that's portable is gold is very portable. I mean, you put an ounce of gold in your pocket, that's almost $3,000 at today's price. And it's small, right? So most people, they can have all their wealth in gold and carry it around in their pockets. It's only when you're like a billionaire and you're talking about having all your money in gold that you're talking about needing, suitcases for your gold as opposed to just your pockets. But for most people, gold is very portable because you concentrate a lot of value in a very small place. But you can easily, I mean, it's hard to store, $100 million worth of cattle or oil or sugar. But $100 million worth of gold actually doesn't take up that much space. So it's still very good. Yes, Bitcoin is more portable because, again, you're porting nothing. If I have nothing, yes, I can. It's very easy to transport nothing. It doesn't have any weight, doesn't have any physical dimensions, doesn't have anything. Although what I can do with gold that also makes it portable is I can have my gold in a vault somewhere where I can assign my ownership to somebody else. And so the gold doesn't even have to move. All that you have to port is who owns it, right? And so you could do that with gold. So from that respect too, gold is extremely portable so long as you have a secure place to store it. Yes, you don't need that with Bitcoin. I get it. It's decentralized. It can self-storage. But that's because you're storing nothing. There is no cost to store nothing because there's nothing there.
Mr. Breedlove, I want a money that is portable. Why should I like Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think this is a good place to understand why I consider gold to not be a functional form of money for scaling transactions globally in the digital age. And that's ultimately because gold is a physical metal, right? To settle with finality or to transact with finality in gold is to move the physical metal from one set of hands into another set of hands. That is a bit difficult to do if you're trading across geographic boundaries, especially if you're doing it with a lot of frequency. So what am I saying? I'm saying that telecommunications, modern telecommunications, are basically faster than our money when we use gold, right? So we have to use promises to gold to scale gold as a monetary system. We're back to the world of currency. And this also necessitates the centralization of gold's custody, right? We need to put all the gold into one or a few places. And now look, it can be done in a free market fashion, and it has been done in a free market fashion. But more often than not, governments in times of crisis will intervene and centralize the custody of that gold, or they'll suspend convertibility, which is, as we said earlier, breaking that promise, turning a legitimate currency into an illegitimate currency. And this necessity of trusting that promises won't be broken, in my opinion, is why gold does not scale as money in the digital age. And I think this is also a good framing for Bitcoin. Mr. Schiff is saying that Bitcoin is nothing. Well, we know it's not nothing. Obviously, it has purchasing power. I think his argument would be that, it has purchasing power because of the greater fool theory.
Well, I'd say
but my argument would be that it has purchasing power because it has unforgeable costliness built into it.
It doesn't really have purchasing power.
This is a term used by Nick Szabo, and he basically said that money needed to represent an expenditure of energy such that it could tokenize human labor energy, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do with this concept of money in the first place. So Bitcoin has unforgeable costliness in digital form, just like gold has unforgeable costliness in physical form.
Yeah, but
when it's in digital form, it can move across telecommunication networks with maximal ease because the speed of light is nature's speed limit, and it cannot be broken. So I would say Bitcoin perfects portability in a way that the promises necessary to make gold portable are its Achilles heel and its ultimate undoing, which we've seen time and time across history. I could cite multiple examples of this, right? The United Kingdom in 1797, they suspended redeemability. United States in 1861 suspended redeemability. Germany, 1914, suspended redeemability. The list goes on, right? These promises have been broken time and time again. We've shown that the application of currency on gold works until someone decides to not keep their promise, which tends to be in times of crisis or war.
There is something called free market capitalism. Companies compete for their reputation, their brand. Brinks, for example, has been in business for, I don't know, 150 years. Nobody has lost an ounce of gold entrusting it to their custody. You can have companies in a free market that will store your gold. And they also provide insurance. They have their insurance companies that will insure gold in case something happens to it while it's being stored. But your point that you need energy to create Bitcoin, I don't concede that we don't waste a tremendous amount of energy making nothing. We do. In order to mine a Bitcoin and not really mine, solve a mathematical equation that they like to call mining as part of the counterfeit of nature of what you're doing to make it sound like it's gold. But when you solve a problem to generate a Bitcoin, you expend a lot of energy. But that energy is not then stored in the Bitcoin where you can release it at some future point. The energy is gone. It's a waste. Whereas when you expend energy, human labor and other resources to mine an ounce of gold and dig it out of the ground, at the end of the day, you have an ounce of gold that could be used in all sorts of things. It's an important, valuable metal that we need for consumer electronics, aerospace, dentistry, jewelry. So you've actually got something to show for the resources that were consumed in its creation. But with Bitcoin, you have absolutely nothing to show for it. You've wasted all those resources making nothing that has any real value. So you can't say, oh, just because we use energy and labor that the Bitcoin has value. It's like if I paid 500 people to dig a giant hole in the ground, and then I paid another 500 people to fill it back in with dirt. You can't say, well, I've got this valuable, earth that because we spent all this money digging holes and refilling them. I've got nothing. I wasted all that labor. I'm exactly where I started. It was a waste. And so I think we're wasting money solving math problems to create nothing so people can gamble on it.
Mr. Breedlove.
And it's all a zero-sum game. If somebody makes money off of Bitcoin, somebody lost it. And it doesn't have purchasing power. It has a price. You can sell your Bitcoin and get money from some fool who buys it, and then you can take that and buy something if you want. Sure.
We will get into that.
I'll respond to this because we're now invoking
one final response, and then we'll move on to the next section. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we were invoking, Peter there was invoking at the end Marx's labor theory of value, right? You can't just pay someone to dig a hole and fill it back in and that be productive, right? Again, ultimately value is subjective. It is a function of what people want. So I'm not advocating and saying that it's the expenditure of energy that gives Bitcoin value, but I am saying that the expenditure of energy in Bitcoin mining is what protects it from counterfeiting. And this is indeed the only way we know in this thermodynamic universe to protect any money from counterfeiting. This is the same process that gold uses, right? It's proof of work. You have to expend energy to acquire the commodity. So when you expend the energy in Bitcoin mining, you're acquiring basically a guaranteed fraction of the total supply because the denominator is always 21 million. So if you mine one Bitcoin, you've got a 1 out of a possible 21 million forever. It's the same thing you're doing with gold, albeit with a less certain denominator, right? You've mined 1 ounce of gold out of a total supply of X. We don't really know what the total supply of gold will ever be into the future. So I would like to ask why the energy expenditure of gold mining is not considered wasteful, whereas the energy expenditure of Bitcoin mining is considered wasteful. I mean, this is just a function of consumer preference, in my view, ultimately. So anyone that's saying something is wasteful is just saying they don't value it, which that's fine. You can express that thesis in the marketplace by not owning it. No, but you asked me to focus on portability. I just want to say one last thing about Bitcoin's portability. Because it's this non-physical bearer asset, right? To hold Bitcoin is to hold the private key to Bitcoin. Not only can you move it at the speed of light around the planet, but you can also store it in any information-bearing medium. Your mind, a sheet of paper, a computer, hard drive, anything that can bear information. Also, because it's informational, you can put it in what's called a multi-key custody schema. So you can slice that private key into multiple pieces and put it in a 2 of 3 or a 3 of 5 wallet. And this is basically essentially the same protocol we use to secure nuclear launch codes. So I think that's pretty damn secure in terms of custody. So portability is not just moving it across space, it's also how you custody it. And the more non-physical it is, which Bitcoin is non-physical, enables you to custody it in ways that are more secure from confiscation, theft, etc. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money. And be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.